Welcome to the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about the Experience community by pointing your browser to local.theexperience.video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. The Aspects of Aging, weekly talk show with Christine A. Smith, unscripted conversations with experts, agingbetternetwork.com. Nancy Bakke and Best Entrepreneur Solutions. Transform your business's profit potential with proven strategies and tactics. BestEntrepreneurSolutions.com. Perspectives on Cancer. In-person event on October 5th and 6th in New York City, which brings together cancer patients, survivors, and supporters to share their stories, be inspired and supported by others in a safe space. The theme for the event is education and inspiration for healing, hope, and resilience. PerspectivesOnCancer.com. And now, your hosts for the Experience Live, Russ and Scott.
And we're almost here. We are like coming. We are trying to make a surprise entrance. Here we are. Good morning, everybody. It is so great to be here on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott. And Scott, this is the only show I do that on every single time. But anyway, great to see everybody this morning. And it is an amazing day today. We are remembering 9/11, remembering those amazing people that were unfortunately lost, but also the amazing people that were involved in the rescue efforts and all that went on there. And it's a day to take a moment and appreciate life and be thankful for those that not only were involved in that, but be thankful for those around you. Be thankful for what you have, right, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. We have Bobby G on today, and he is a true 9/11 hero. We're going to hear his story, but also he's a new grandpa. And so there are some great things going on as well. Even though we remember this tragedy of 23 years ago, I remember every week I met with friends for coffee. And as I was going into the Beanery on 2nd Street, my mom called and said that a plane had flown into the World Trade Center. And I was remembering the World War II bomber, a B-24, that flew into the Empire State Building. Damage and people were killed, but it was like 14 people. And 2 days later, the building was operating again. So I didn't think too much of it. And then she called, and the second plane had run into the tower.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was, boy, I tell you, quite a big experience. I remember where I was too, but we'll get into that in a moment. I just want to remind everybody, we are here on the Experience Live with Russ and Scott every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And where Scott is, that would be 9 p.m. Central Time, right, Scott?
Not 9 p.m. quite.
Or 9 a.m. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
that's what
right.
I meant.
Yeah, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time.
There you go, Texas Standard Time.
I actually heard that. I was listening to a radio program, and they announced when their show was, and they said Texas Standard Time, and I'm like, I'll go with that.
Yeah. Well, it's so great. No matter what time it is where you all are, we are here broadcasting live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and we're here every week, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and the other times I gave you. Also, this show, when we're done, are you ready? It sits on those platforms forever. So it means you can go back and you can watch it, or you can share it, or you can just engage and still talk to people, which, by the way, we really encourage you to do today. We want you to engage. We want you to talk with us and each other through the comments during the show. Okay. The other thing is, it still is, if you're having troubles watching, it converts to audio podcast. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. So It's super, super easy for you to find this, and you're going to want to share this one with Bobby G with other people. So I'm going to encourage you right off the bat to get out there and share. Let everybody know what's going on. Tag your friends. Say, hey, the Experience Live with Russ Scott has Bobby G on today. You do not want to miss it. Also want to tell you, we just really would appreciate it if you connect with Scott and I. You can go to local.theexperience.video, and all the information about this show and what Scott and I are doing is there. We'd appreciate that. And you can go straight to our YouTube page at theexperience.video and subscribe today. In fact, you can open a separate tab and do it right now. So we'd encourage you to do that because you get tons and tons of valuable, good content on there. So that's what we have for you today there. And I think, Scott, we should just get Bobby G in and start chatting.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get in because he's just got some great stuff going on even right now.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby G has become an amazing friend. I'm blessed to be able to see him in New York here in a few weeks. And I'm so thankful for him being here today. Welcome, Bobby G. How goes it?
Hey, guys. I'm so happy to be here on this very sad, memorable day. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Happy day. I'm a new grandpa.
Yeah, we're happy for you.
I have a wonderful, beautiful little grandson, Callan Brooks. And he is just, thank God he's healthy. And my daughter's doing great. My son-in-law is just a fantastic guy. And my other daughter came up to help out with her husband, who's new uncle. So I'm proud to be here. It's a very tear-jerking day for me. And when Russ asked me, I was so honored to do this for him and for you. And tonight I got a few ceremonies to go to. I've been invited to a lot of different ceremonies, and it's a tough day. I used to go down all the time to the ceremonies at 9/11, and it become more like a commercialized thing. And I just, I'd rather go down when I'm with either friends or, when I'm able to really reflect on it without all the hoopla, and like it's going to be my pleasure to take Russ down there. And he's coming in October, and I can't wait to share the experience with him through my eyes. With also one of his friends. So thank you again. And Russ, everybody pray for this guy. He's a hell of a nice guy, and he needs prayers. The power of prayers helps.
Amen. I believe in the power of prayer, and thank you, Bobby G. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to see you, as Scott would say, in 3D. We've developed a great, awesome friendship together, but it's not the same as being there and being able to give you a big hug and say hi. And so I'm looking forward to that. So, okay, well, listen, let's start right off. For those people that don't have any idea, tell them a little bit about who Bobby G was, what you were involved in with 9/11, and then we'll take it from there. So take it away. Give us a little intro.
Great. All right, my real name is Robert Gayer, but everybody calls me Bobby G. It was a nickname I picked up because after 9/11, The Sopranos had me on a few episodes of their show, which was a nice honor. But Bobby G, now they even call me Grandpa Bobby G, which is great. But on this horrible day, back in that day, I was actually taking a shower, minding my business, doing what I had to do for my day. My girls were small. They were actually 9 and 11 at the time, and they were in school. And my wife came in the bathroom and said, honey, you don't know what's going on. You got to come out and see this on the TV. And I wrapped the towel around me and I went out to the living room, and I was just flabbergasted for what I was looking at. The towers were on fire, and I thought we were I thought we were under attack, and it was just going to keep continuing. So I said to my wife, I got to go in and help. And she said to me, the girls are fine. They're in school. Don't worry about it. And you don't need to go in. And I says, oh, yes, I do. But she knows when I get something set in my head, I do it. And there was no stopping me. So I just want to really gearing up good. And I had an SUV at the time. And I said, honey, I love you. And I'll talk to you later. And I took my gear and I went to the local supermarket and I said, I'm going in. And they asked, what can you use? And I said, you know what? Just load my car up with water. And they gave me cases and cases of bottled water. And as I made my way through many different ways of port to get into New York City, I was able, the one I picked, luckily for me, was the one I was able to get in. It was the Long Island Expressway. And as I was getting on the expressway, which was already blocked off for anybody else to get on. I noticed these two guys next to me trying to get in, and I looked down and they were doctors. And I said, "Are you going in?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "You'll never make it in that car. Why don't you come with me?" Knowing that if I had that, I had more of a chance to get in. So I ran up to a cop that was also stuck in traffic, and he had a light on his car. And I says, "Listen, I got doctors and supplies in my car, and we're trying to get in." And he gave me the light off the top of his car, and he said, "Keep this with you on your car and follow me." And we drove down actually the grass embankment to a condominium development. And he told the guards to open up their gate. And he said, "Let these guys leave their car there." They came with me, and many other cars also joined us. So it was a caravan. And as we made our way onto the LIE, they had those concrete blocks, those big things that they use on the highway to keep cars off. They had them there. We went around them on the grass and got on the highway. And as we approached the Midtown Tunnel, there was military personnel there with machine guns in their hands, pointing them toward every direction. And because we were behind a police emergency vehicle, they let us go through. And as we went through the tunnel, it was the most eerie feeling. As we made our way through the tunnel, I made a left going down Broadway, and that's when the second tower collapsed. Oh, let me preface this by saying a week before that, I had hosted an event at the U.S. Open, and Fujifilm kept giving us these portable cameras, and I had them in my car, and I kept ripping them open and asking the doctors to take pictures on the way in to document it. And as we went down Broadway, all of a sudden I see this gigantic, it was like endless wall of ash coming toward us. And I had thought that somebody had dropped a nuclear bomb. And I just told the doctors, "Hold on." And I kind of spun my truck, and I'm so surprised I didn't flip it. And it was that wall of ash coming down after the second tower had collapsed. And what seemed like an eternity lasted a few minutes of all this stuff hitting my car. When it finally ended, I had said to the doctors, "Everybody okay?" And they said yes. And we made our way to City Hall, where the doctors had jumped out. There was an immediate first aid station being set up. And I wished them well. And I ran up to a police officer and I said, "Listen, I got supplies here." And he said, "Leave the light on your car going. Don't worry about it. No one's going to bother you." And at that point, I kept running up and down the blocks, throwing these half-gallon bottles or whatever they were, water to people, because they were pouring on their face to get all the ash off their face. And when I ran out of water, I stuffed some of the cameras in my pocket and I ran up Broadway. And every time I looked down one of the blocks, it was all full of emergency vehicles. And I finally made my way down to one of the blocks. And as I ran down, I saw on my right side was One Liberty Plaza, which I'll show you, Russ. And on the left side was a Burger King. And I approached the biggest, baldest cop I ever seen in my life. And I said, "How can I help?" And he said, "If you're not prepared to die, you better get the F out of here." And I said, "Let's rock and roll." And he said, "All right, go over to that fireman and see what he can use." And I ran over to this fireman, and he was sobbing. And all you heard was the beeping coming from all the fallen firemen. It was when they wear these packs, and when they stop moving, they set off an alarm. So he told me to grab a water tank that was there. And him and I went down into the pit, which they called the pit. And as we were going, it was getting hotter and hotter and hotter because of all the stuff burning. And I'm spraying while he's looking for fallen or anybody alive. And unfortunately, there was no one alive. And we backed off. And as the days went on, this is what we did. We just kept trying to find, and they used this expression: if you see any piece or body, look past it, bag it, tag it, and bring it into that Burger King, which they were using as a temporary morgue, along with refrigerated trucks lined up the West Side Highway. And unfortunately, they never really got to be used too much either. And what we did for the next few days was we spent each day just looking after each other as a team. We would just do whatever we could, digging through the pile, bucket brigades. Home Depot came in with a truckload of the 5-gallon orange buckets, and we just formed like a bucket brigade line, and we would just fill them and pass them down, trying to find whoever or whatever we could. The smell was getting horrendous. It was so bad. Your eyes would be burning. I knew right away I was getting sick because I started to vomit like a black foam. And you always had these extra filters on the end of your elbow. And we would always look at each other and say, "Change your filter," because they were getting so clogged. And we kept getting told the air quality was, "Don't worry about it. Everything was okay." It was just smoky. And on one of the nights, I remember it was they were watching building the One Liberty Plaza building with lasers because it had actually like a twist to it, and they were afraid it was going to fall. It was right at the edge of where the towers were, and they said if you hear an alarm ring 3 times, a big air horn, drop whatever or whoever you have and run. And I remember one night that did happen because they were afraid it would fall. And it was a very high building. And I remember this one man running, and all you heard was like this something coming through the air, and it actually took the back of his behind off, like he went through a meat slicer. It was a big piece of sheet metal. I mean, everything was so graphic and so horrific. All you saw was body parts, and I mean, I looked like I rolled in mud. I was so dirty, and you never gave up. Every time you got tired, you took a 5-minute power nap or something, and you just got right back. Your adrenaline was always going, and everybody was brother and sister. It didn't matter. You always looked out for each other. The camaraderie was totally unbelievable. And it came to be like on the night of day 3, we were standing by that police, by the Burger King, just getting some aid. Because you'd go in there, they'd let you brush your teeth or, just sit down for a few minutes down in the restaurant area and have some water. And I remember this man running up to us, and he had like an old-fashioned police hat in his hand, and it had this blue stuff melted all over it. And he said, I just came from the 5th floor parking lot underneath the mall, and there's a lot of cars there, and people could be down there. And I said, I'm going. And it turned out one of the other guys that was there was a Red Cross volunteer and the deputy commissioner of the New York City Police Department. His name was Tibor Caracas. And we all taped lights to each other's helmets, and because they had brought in cases and cases and cases of lights. And as we made our way down, we were going into underneath building number 5, which is now like a giant sculpture of, it looks like a big giant, I call it a rib cage. And as you went down into there, the ash was horrible. It was like 6 inches thick on the escalator, which was of course not working. And as we went down, we noticed we entered the mall area, and we saw flashlights in the Torno jewelry store. And the police commissioner said, hold up, guys, let's see what's going on in here. And as we walked in, this one guy was standing there, and the officer said, identify yourself. And right away, the guy was so nervous. He was like, whoa, we're in here looking for people. And with that, a guy walked in the area from the back room holding watches in his hand. And he said, what are you doing here? He says, well, I'm on the job, and I'm here helping look for bodies. He goes, like hell you are. He goes, you're robbing the store. And he said to all of us, grab the guys. And as we were walking them back up the escalator, we noticed later on the way back down, there were circles in the dust. And when you put your hand in and pulled them out, there were the watches that they had put in their pockets. And as we got to the top of the stairs, that's when I realized who this cop was. He says, Captain, I'm Deputy Tibor Caracas from the New York City Police Department. Place these gentlemen under arrest for stealing. And then when they took the guy's wallet out, he had a corrections officer badge in his pocket, which turned out to be what they call a dupe, because he had gotten let go for some stuff that he had done in the past. So then he also got charged with impersonating a police officer and grand theft, which I wound up getting subpoenaed to testify against these guys, and they got 6 years in jail. After, excuse me, after that was done, we went back downstairs, and as we made our way through the mall, we realized that we had to go down lower because there was no one in that mall area. And with that, one of the guys that was with us slipped and fell because it was all shattered glass. And I remember him getting up, and it looked like his back was put on a meat slicer. It was just horrible. He went out, and we continued our way down these stairs, leaning up against the wall, which is probably the safest way. And we made our way down to the parking lot. And when we got down to the parking lot, which was as black as coal, you couldn't see without the lights on your head and the handhelds that we had, all you saw was a parking lot with a row of cars and trucks. And my first instinct was, let's bust the windows open and turn on some headlights. And as I approached every car, the lights were already, the windows were already broken and the lights were out, and which meant the batteries were burnt out, which meant people were down there. Either they died or they got out with the luck of God. And as I approached the last 2 cars, I was able to break the windows open and turn the lights on, which revealed to us behind us the loading dock area. And it had a horse trailer in it with the New York City Police Port Authority logo on it. And the commissioner said, let's break this door open. And when we opened the door, it was filled with oxygen tanks, which they call Scott packs, and rubber boots. And he said to me at the time, Bob, you're the biggest guy here. You need to put the Scott's pack on in case we find anybody alive and they need oxygen. And with that, we made our way through which we were trying to get through many different corridors, which were all pretty well busted up and stuff. And as we finally went through this one area, I noticed, and I said, "Hey, over here, guys," there was like a ceiling that must have been 3 to 4 feet thick that had collapsed, but it was on a triangles, and there was an opening underneath it. And I said, they said, "We got to go see what's on the other side." So stupid me volunteers to crawl under this thing. And as they're holding my ankles, I had to write my name and social security number on my body parts in case I got killed. And as I'm crawling under this thing with my heart pounding out of my chest, I stopped to take a breather for a second, not knowing that these things have alarms on them when you stop moving. And when I stopped for a second, this alarm started to screech, which almost made me lose my freaking pants and pee my pants and poop my pants. I was never so afraid of anything in my life. And the cop tapped me on the back and said, "Everything's fine." And they reset the alarm. And when I finally made it through the end of the hole, whatever it was, and I reached my head through and I looked in the other rooms, and it was all no good. There was still just body parts, and everyone in there was dead. And we would have to make a symbol on the wall with a circle with an X in it, which let everyone else know that would come down that this has already been checked. So when we made our way back upstairs, I gave my Scott's pack to another rescue workers in case they needed it, and we all needed to take a major breather at that point. And then after that, we all dispersed from each other and hugged and said, "Thank God we're alive," and went right back on the pile doing what we had to do. And for I was there on and off for 4 days, and it was very, very horrific. It was like a war zone. I remember calling my wife when I first got there saying, "Honey," and I was crying. I says, "It looks like a movie set. I'd never seen anything like this in my life here. 8 square acres of buildings were just a pile of rubble." And it was, the most devastating thing. I did send Russ this morning some pictures that I had posted on Facebook. So if anyone cares to, I'm sure Russ would be more than happy to share them with you. I was also featured in a book that was called, let me get this in here, Never Forget. And I'm in there, and many other stories are in there. It became a bestseller. And to this day is a very memorable day. I just was telling my wife, I keep getting emails from people that I only hear from once a year that were old friends of mine. And they say, "We're just thinking of you today, Bob. God bless you." And it's amazing that, those kind of things stick with people. And, I know in certain parts of the country, people don't understand it or feel it as well as we do. But to have people that I know personally who lost 2 of their sons and have died from cancers and, are going on with such major loss. And I was watching the ceremony, which is on TV right now here for us. I know in different parts of the country, it's at different times, but to hear kids now, that a small kid saying, "And God bless you, Grandpa," they don't even know who this man was. They can only live on now because of the stories that they hear from their siblings or their mother and their father and their, whoever. It's sad. I'll be going to a ceremony tonight. And then I'm going to stop off at a cemetery over here on Long Island at Eisenhower Park. It's a giant triangle, and it's got a beautiful memorial of out of marble, and it's all for victims of 9/11. And I go there just to pay my respects. And the sad thing about it is that it has graves in it that may have just a hat, a picture of that person, a beer can that they like to drink beer, because they couldn't find them. And to this day, when I take you there, Russ, you're going to see, and whoever's watching this, you owe it to yourself to see the memorial, the museum at 9/11. It's breathtaking. You don't realize when you go in there that you're actually walking down very slowly 5 floors, and there's an area in there with nothing but blue tiles. And the blue tiles represent people that they have not recovered or found yet. But behind that wall is a complete lab. And all they do all the time is DNA testing on whatever they could find. And every year they find 1 or 2 people that they're able to identify. So it's amazing. Then there is the brick from the house that Bin Laden lived in. It's on display all by itself because they don't want it to be near anything. And then when you go in, it's a total reenactment of videos of that day and the fire trucks that were blown apart. My helmet and the shoes that I wore are on display. And it's very emotional for me because when I stand next to it and people say, I say, "That's mine." And they flip out. Total strangers come over. They want to give me a hug or they want to get a picture with me. it's just overwhelming because I don't like to walk through there anymore. It's just too sad for me. But there's so many.
I can't imagine that, Bobby.
Yeah.
And I know that your perspective, this story is something that most people have not heard.
Right.
The from the moment when you came out of that shower and decided to go spend all of those days in there. This is a perspective that most people haven't had the opportunity to hear. So thank you for sharing that.
Well,
And I want to talk a little bit too about the items that you're wearing. I mean, even the shirt and the pin that you are wearing.
well, yeah.
There's a lot of meaning in
Yeah.
in these.
And, well, this shirt, if I can get it on here, let me see. Yeah, this shirt was given to me by this man's sister. His name was Ray Pfeiffer. And Ray Pfeiffer, God rest his soul, I became friends with him because we all traveled as a group. Guys that never met each other, never knew each other, but we met on a highway at a rest stop, and we went down to the Capitol building. And it was led by a gentleman who I've become to have such great respect for. His name is John Field, and he started a foundation called Fieldwell Foundation. And John was a construction worker down there, got all messed up with his feet, but he decided to build this organization. And because of John Field, we now have there's the Droiga bill passed, which is a bill that was passed to take care of the 9/11 first responders and the victims, because let's face it, we're in a special group, and that group is dying. It's not getting any bigger. It's getting smaller by the day, because now more people have died after 9/11 because of the illnesses that we suffer. I mean, I had cancer on my face here that they had to remove. It was a squamous cell cancer from the stuff landing on my face. I have COPD, I have restricted airways disease, I had GERD, acid reflux. I was taking a medication for my lungs, that one called Levaquin, which I don't recommend anybody ever take, which the side effects of ripping and tearing of the rotator cuffs or the Achilles tendon, and my shoulder rotator cuff popped because of it. And I had to have an operation. And so this man, Ray Pfeiffer, was not walking, excuse me. He was in a wheelchair that was electronically controlled by his fingers with that little stick in the front, because he was totally almost paralyzed. But meanwhile, he gave every effort that he could to help us, because he was a fireman, and he gave every effort he could to his last dying breath to help get this bill passed. And the pin that I have on my shirt, let me see if I can get it here, was the pin that was actually given. It's so weird to do this with a camera. That was given to me by George Bush, President George Bush, at a ceremony that I was invited to at Eisenhower Park, which I'm going to tonight, where they built a beautiful memorial. It's like a miniature version of the towers made out of beautiful metal. And he was there for the groundbreaking. And I had received a letter of commendation from him, with a signed letter from him and Laura Bush. And I got invited down. And when I held it up, and he made motion for me to come over, and he hugged me, and he said, "Thank you so much for what you did." And to be honest with you, I said, "Mr. President, as far as I'm concerned, you could have blanket bombed the whole country." And he gave me this half smile on his face, and he just wouldn't look around. He gave me 100% of his attention. And I said, "Would it be okay if you and I exchanged pins?" And he was kind of like surprised that I asked him that. And he says, "I've been wearing this since I'm the president. I would be honored, Bob." And he took this pin off his jacket, and he put it on me, and I put my Twin Towers pin on him. And then he re-signed my commendation, which was an honor. And then afterwards, I told him I had something very special that I wanted to know if he would be able to sign it for me, but I wasn't allowed to bring it with me. And a friend of mine, who now also passed, but he was not involved with 9/11, he's a computer guy. He had printed me like a 3x4 or 3x6 poster of Manhattan skyline, a day and night shot. And I was so honored by this thing. It was in a tube that I spent 4 years of my life having this thing signed by anyone that I can find that was involved with the operation of Ground Zero, family members, no one that wasn't involved. And I mean, I had little kids saying, like, "Can I sign it? My daddy died." And he said, "I love you, Daddy James." And I had a woman sign it that on the Brooklyn Bridge area, where her husband talked the jumper off and saved his life, and he perished at 9/11. Jay Leno signed it when I went out to the Tonight Show, because he donated a signed motorcycle that he had an auction for. President Bush signed it. Hillary Clinton signed it. Tom Van Essen signed it. Rudy Giuliani, Mayor Bloomberg, Peter Max, the artist, signed it. So on and so forth. So many people just signed it, like the women from Rockville Center out here who lost so many people. It said women from Rockville Center who bagged many lunches to feed the nourished for what they did at 9/11. Nino's from Nino Restaurant, who donated over $1 million out of his own pocket of food to feed us while we were down there. Katz's Deli delivered corned beef sandwich. It was amazing how people just gave a crap about each other during this hard time. And, I got put in a book and all this stuff about 9/11. I got, the honor of being on a few TV shows, which was nice, but I know the true reason why I was there. And I also got to travel around the country on my own dime, because I didn't get paid to be at 9/11. I did it because I gave a crap about my fellow man and woman. And I wanted to do what I could to help somebody that needed it, that little extra, whatever, no matter what it was. So I would travel around the country and speak at schools for kids and show them all my different pictures. And I remember going to this one in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was a very poor neighborhood, and these kids were so happy to see me. And I came home and I said to my wife, wow, if I can affect one person and help them change their life, I told them, you could do whatever you want to do in this world. Don't ever let anybody steal your dreams, but don't do stupid stuff like I did. Don't go down and jump in fires and help people. But like a month later, I received this big manila envelope with tons and tons of pictures drawn for me, and you are my hero. And, it brings tears to my eyes even now to think about, that. And also about, I said, it was so nice and so patriotic to see everybody. You think about it, and I'm sure it was all over the country. Everybody had those little flags on their windows. And but how sad it was. Like a month later, I saw those flags all on the roadside, all that camaraderie left, the people being so kind to each other left. What is wrong with people? They got to realize, like Russ, you're going through a situation with your life. You thank God for every day. I gave birth to a beautiful grandson. Thank God. People are dying every day. Enjoy your time.
I couldn't agree with you more, Bobby G. And, the truth is, all of this came out of your heart for people, unconditional love for our country and for humankind, and all that you did. And I think that's really, I'm a firm believer that God works all things for the good. And I think out of this horrible situation, right after that, people returned to prayer and putting their flags out and all kinds of things. And I think it really made an impact on this country, to really kind of bind together, because to say, hey, you know what, we're in this together. Even if I wasn't in New York when that happened, I personally have been blessed. I was there a couple of years after, so I saw the big hole in the ground and that metal cross and everything there. And then I watched it grow and build, and then finally was able to go up in the Freedom Tower when it was rebuilt. And that's been just a blessing for me to see that what came out of there, that we're very resilient in all that we do. And so Bobby G, as we're going a little bit over, but we're starting to wind down, but I wanted you to, let everybody know, first off, this heart that made you go, right?
Yes.
People need to think about that today. You said live every moment. What are you being called to go to, right? And you see this new life in your grandson, all this thing going on. Just give everybody a little inspiration based on your experience, what they can do, how we can all make a difference, right?
Yes. You know what? You're 100% right. And the smallest things really do matter to people. During COVID, I had an elderly woman. Thank God she's still alive. She lives across the street from me. I have become like her son. This woman was not allowed to go out, and every night I would bring her meals. All right. Or if you're online at a McDonald's and you see an elderly person behind you, or somebody that's by themselves, you don't know what's going through their life. Buy them their coffee and don't tell them. Walk away and watch the joy on their face when they walk away. By the way, that poster that I had, it's completely filled. And I was the last person to sign that. And it's hundreds of signatures. And you know what I'm doing with it? There's a company called Golden, and they do gigantic auctions for very valuable pieces, because this is a one-of-a-kind piece. I'm giving it to Golden to do a live auction on it. They're going to be doing a film interview with me about it, and I am donating a decent amount of the proceeds to be dedicated to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, T2T. And the T2T Tower organization, what they do, if you don't know about it in the West Coast, is look it up, T2T.org. What happened is Stephen Stillers was one of the firemen stationed in Brooklyn. And that horrible day, he ran in after his firehouse had left. He got to the firehouse and everybody left. So he threw his gear on, which is about 110 pounds, ran all the way through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. And when he got out, he got killed. So his brother has started the Stephen Stills Foundation, which is the Tower to Tunnels, Tunnel to Towers, excuse me. And what they do now is they build homes free of charge for first responders, people that have lost their spouses in the military, the fire department. They go in if they own a home, they pay off their mortgages. Now they're doing villages where homeless veterans don't have to worry about sleeping in the streets. They don't want a house, they don't want an apartment, but they get to stay in a room and get taken care of for the rest of their life for free. So please do things like that. Go to the Tunnel Towers. It's a few dollars, excuse me. That's part of 9/11. I apologize, but yeah, just do the smallest things. But this poster, they're so happy that I called them and I had to sign, all sorts of things, letting them know that I'm not lying, that I will be donating the money to the Tunnels and Towers. They're a fantastic organization. I'm joking here, guys. Help me out.
I wish I had some water for you there. Listen, Scott, as we get ready to wrap up here, what I really want to give you the opportunity, Bobby G, in the last couple of minutes is to give us your gold nugget of this whole experience, something that people can hold on to besides, or just reiterate what we've already talked about, and then let everybody know how they can get in touch with you. I've been scrolling your email along the bottom, but I don't know if you have other points where people can contact you. So gold nugget, and then how people contact you. So go ahead.
That's fine. My pleasure. You know what I learned mostly from this? When you look around, value your friends. Tell them how you feel about them, because it can end in a second. Value and love your family. Or if you have a situation where you're having an argument with one of your friends or your family, listen, go like this. Swallow your pride and make nice with those people, because if something happens, you're never going to forget it. I'm telling you, I've seen more people go through bad feelings because, I wish I would have, or I should have called, or I'm so sad I didn't do this. Take it upon yourself to appreciate the fact that you open up your eyes every day. My wife listens to the Catholic channel, and she said something that they were asking questions. What do you appreciate today? And my wife said, you know what? She was on the air with them. She goes, I appreciate my car because I drive to work every day and I see people that have to stand at a bus stop in the rain or in the snow and not have a car to get to work. So you got to appreciate every little blessing that you've gotten from God. Okay. A value, and tell your friends, hey man, I love you. All my friends know how I feel about them, as I always tell them, because if I ever pass, they're going to say he was a good guy. He did what he could. He may have been an ass, but he always did the right thing. He made us laugh and appreciate it, guys. I'm telling you, because if something happens, you won't forget yourself. You forgive yourself. And, that's my golden nugget, because when my little grandson was born, thank God, I have this little face to look at and say, hey, I'm your papa. But you know what? I know because of what happened at 9/11, I'm not going to be around as long as I may have been because of the ailments that I got from that. So I value every day that my eyes get to be open. And I tell my wife before I go to bed, honey, I love you. Never go to bed mad. Never. Because it's just stupid negative energy, guys. Value your day. Don't worry about the materialistic things in your life. I had it all. I don't care about that stuff no more. Think about what's more important, because when you close your eyes, you can't take that crap with you. Right. I love you. God bless you all, and be safe.
We love you too. And give us your contact info again.
All right. Yeah, my new email, because I'm having a problem with my computer, is BOBBY, the letter G, the word Java, JAVA @OPTONLINE.net. So that's Bobby G Java, because I'm in the coffee business, at optonline.net.
optonline.net. Okay, we'll make sure and get that out there and get that corrected, so we have that.
Yes. And if anybody needs or wants pictures, just email me. Say, hey, I'd love to see your pictures.
Yeah, that is so great. That's so great. Scott?
Yeah, I just say thank you for sharing this story, this insight. It's been just marvelous. Always fun to hang out with you, Bobby G.
I hear
Thank you.
One day look
And,
at me.
from one coffee lover to another.
Yeah, I hear you. I got gold beans right around my neck. See,
There you
gold coffee
go.
beans. And I miss
There you
Bonnie
go.
being not here today, but she's doing good.
Yeah. Bonnie's doing good. Yeah. So, Bobby G, I'm looking forward to it. Going to see you real soon, and appreciate you so much and all that you are, and what a blessing to me you are. Thanks for the prayers. And we're going to say goodbye to you, but hang tight in the green room for just a second.
You got it, guys. God
Okay,
bless
I'll see
everybody.
you soon. Thank you. Scott?
Fabulous. What a story. Just that insight from that moment when he stepped out of the shower, when his wife alerted him to what was going on, to spend those days doing the work and shoulder to shoulder with so many people. It's just what a great man to be able to share that story. So thank you
Absolutely.
to Bobby G and to his family.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just very grateful. We've got his contact information back up with the new the new email. So we got that down there so everybody can take a look at that. It'll be corrected in the show notes, and it's in the comments here too. So make sure and look at that new Bobby G Java at optonline.net, and make sure and shoot off a thank you to Bobby G. That's amazing. So, Scott, I'm just so thankful for you every week. We're here at 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time every Wednesday, people. So you can join us with amazing people like Bobby G. Please share this out. I know a ton of people watch on replay, and that's great. I know everybody's busy. This is, early in the morning. People got stuff going on. They're getting ready for work, whatever. Please share this and engage and connect with us here online, even if you're watching on a replay. Also, as I told everybody before, you can go directly to local.theexperience.video, not only see the information on this show, but our show local.theexperience.video, and soon to have the information about the Waco experience on there as well, I'm sure. And also, you can go straight to our YouTube page at theexperience.video. And so anyway, just appreciate everybody being here. Scott, as always, just love and appreciate you. And you always make my Wednesdays great.
Always just great to hang out with you, Russ. I'm glad we get to do this, and remind people that tomorrow on Thursday, Marketing with Russ at 8 a.m. Pacific, and then 4 p.m. On Russ Reels, and I'll be guest hosting on that show. That's
right. Russ Reels live, and I'll just put it out there. I would appreciate everybody's prayers. If you don't know, I'll be going through this next round of cancer treatment. And so I'm going through that treatment tomorrow during that time. And so while you're watching Scott, I appreciate your prayers. And I'm just looking forward to a great day, everybody. Keep a good perspective. Be happy. Hermide says it best. And with that, Scott, we're going to get out of here. Have a great week and a great life, and enjoy
the experience.
Woohoo!
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.